Halloween, which started centuries ago in Ireland, is a time of spookiness and fun. It's all about dressing up in costumes, carving pumpkins into grinning jack-o'-lanterns, and going from door to door for tasty treats. It's like a big costume party for folks of all ages, but there's more to it. Halloween's roots come from the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, written as Samhain, and some people believe that the spirits of the dead roamed the earth during this time. Today is a chance for friends and family to come together and share scary stories and enjoy sweet treats. So, get ready to embrace the Halloween spirit. Samhain, the ancient Celtic festival, is a real gem in history. So picture this, it's a chilly October evening, leaves falling like confetti, and folks gathering around bonfires. Back in the day, our Celtic pals marked this time of year to celebrate the end of the harvest season and welcome in the darker half of the year. It's a bit like our modern Halloween, but with a sprinkle of ancient magic. They believed that the veil between this world and the spirit realm thinned, letting in all sorts of curious happenings. So when you're donning your spookiest costumes this October, just remember you're keeping a tradition alive. Samhain, that charming Celtic celebration, is like a bridge between golden fields and frosty mornings. Imagine farmers gathering the last sheaves, knowing that winter's chill is on its way. Samhain whispers it's time to wrap it up, folks. It's when they thank the earth for its bounty and prepare for the quieter months ahead. You could say it's like nature's way of saying, cue the cosy jumpers and hot cocoa. So, next time you're sipping a warm drink in November, give a nod to Samhain for setting the seasonal stage. So cheers to harvests and winter wonders. Now, after the merry jig of Samhain, we waltz right into All Saints' Day on the 1st of November. It's like a bright beacon in the autumnal tapestry. On this day, our Christian friends gather to celebrate the All Saints, or all of the saints, the special souls who've shown us how to be good eggs in this world. It's a bit like a big family reunion for heavenly heroes. So while the leaves swirl and the air gets crisp, remember to tip your hat to those awesome saints who've left their mark on the world. They're like the guiding stars in our life's constellation. Bravo, Christians! So picture this. Late 1600s, Salem, Massachusetts, a time of peculiar happenings. The Salem witch trials were like a strange dance of superstition, suspicion, and fear. People believed that some were practicing witchcraft, and it led to quite a kerfuffle. Now, here's the tie-in to Halloween. The trials add a touch of spookiness to the season, obviously, and they remind us of a time when folks believed in magic and things that go bump in the night. So when we dress up and tell ghost stories on Halloween, we're nodding to that fascinating and rather gruesome slice of history. You see, those trials stirred up a cauldron of fear, pardon the sort of pun, and suspicion, making people think about the supernatural in a whole new way. It's like they sprinkled a dash of dark magic onto the collective memory. So when we light jack-o'-lanterns and dress as ghosts and ghouls, we're actually giving a nod to that time when the line between reality and the otherworldly was blurrier than ever. It's a reminder that even in history's shadows, there's something fascinating and, yes, a little bit spooky and kind of gross. Now, let's dive into the enchanting world of Samhain and its pagan roots. You see, for our ancient Celtic friends, this festival was a cosmic door swinging open. They believed that during Samhain, the veil between our world and the spirit realm became as thin as a whisper. It's a bit like saying hello to the ghostly guests.
Hello.
They'd light bonfires and they'd offer treats to these visiting spirits, hoping for their guidance, their help, their protection, their blessings. And it's like a tradition that adds a touch of mysticism to the season, reminding us that there is more to this world than meets the eye. So when you feel that autumn chill in the air, know that you are sharing a moment with something ancient and magical. Now let us step into the realm of belief in evil spirits and the supernatural during the Feast of Samhain. Hundreds of years ago, folks thought that with the veil so thin, not only friendly spirits visited, but also some mischievous and even malevolent ones. It's like opening a door and not really knowing who's going to pop in. That's why they'd light those bonfires to ward off any spooky shenanigans. They'd also dress up in costumes to confuse any potentially troublesome spirits, like saying, "Hey, you can't catch me." It's a bit like a cosmic game of hide and seek. This belief in the supernatural added an element of caution and excitement to the season. So when we put on our spooky costumes on Halloween, we're actually keeping that ancient spirit of mystery and protection alive. You see, the tradition of dressing up in costumes traces all the way back to a clever way of dealing with those mischievous spirits during Samhain or Halloween. Our ancestors believed that during this time, the veil between the worlds was so thin, it was a bit like leaving the front door ajar for just any old spirit to stroll in. And so, to outsmart any potentially malevolent ones, they took to wearing disguises. And that's all a costume is. It's a bit like playing a trick on tricksters. By donning masks and costumes, they hoped to confuse the spirits by making them think, this is a fellow spirit, or just someone passing through. It's a pretty crafty way to keep things both light-hearted, but also safe during this enchanted time when you might be visited by the spirit world. So when we slip into our spooky get-ups on Halloween, we're carrying out an age-old tradition of outsmarting the supernatural with a little creativity and a whole lot of fun. Let's now delve into the tale of the jack-o'-lantern, because this one I found really interesting. The tale of jack-o'-lanterns is a real gem. So long ago, in old Ireland, there was a fellow named Stingy Jack, and he was known for his cunning ways. He managed to trick the devil not only once, but twice, and when Jack's time finally came for him to die, neither heaven nor hell would have him. So he was just left to wander the dark world with only a glowing ember to light his way. Jack placed that burning ember inside a carved turnip, and yes, I did say turnip, creating the very first jack-o'-lantern. Now, when the Irish folks crossed the pond to America, they found pumpkins. They were much better for carving than turnips, and a lot easier. So the legend of Stingy Jack merged with Halloween or Samhain, and soon the folks were carving eerie faces into pumpkins, just to keep away any wandering spirits, much like Jack did. So every time we carve a grinning face into a pumpkin, we're actually paying tribute to old Stingy Jack and keeping his story alive in this festive tradition. Before the pumpkin took the spotlight though, as I've mentioned just a second ago, it was the humble turnip that played the leading role in the early jack-o'-lanterns. Those crafty folks in old Ireland would actually hollow out turnips, which is harder than it sounds. Just like we do today with pumpkins, but pumpkins are a lot easier. They would then place a glowing ember or candle inside, and it's quite a sight to imagine those flickering turnip lanterns lighting up the night. If you've ever seen a carved turnip jack-o'-lantern, they look horrendous. So when we carve out our pumpkins, we're nodding to this charming piece of history that gave birth to the beloved jack-o'-lantern tradition. When the Irish made their way to North America, they discovered something extraordinary: pumpkins. These big, and sometimes really big, orange beauties were far more abundant and easier to carve than the turnips that they used back home. So naturally, they embraced this new canvas for their jack-o'-lanterns. The shift from turnips to pumpkins gave rise to the iconic symbol that we now associate ubiquitously, big word, with Halloween today. It's a wonderful example of how traditions can evolve and adapt with time and place. So when we carve pumpkins during this spooky season, we're actually celebrating this fusion of cultures that gave us the cheerful jack-o'-lantern that we know and love. Carving faces into pumpkins and placing candles inside is a delightful mix of artistry and practicality. So nowadays we carve grinning spooky faces or even intricate designs into pumpkins like this one. And we light them with candles rather than embers for classic Halloween ambiance. It's a fun and creative way to embrace the spirit of the season. Now let's chat about modern Halloween traditions. Trick-or-treating is like a neighbourhood treasure hunt for sweets and treats. Kids, all dressed up in costumes, knock on doors and say the magic words, trick or treat. In return, they receive a handful of goodies or candies, spreading joy and a touch of mischief. Halloween parties are another highlight, where folks of all ages gather to have a good time. They're filled with spooky decorations, games, and of course more treats. It's a chance to let loose and enjoy the playful side of the season. Lastly, let's explore the evolution of Halloween. From its roots in solemn celebrations like Samhain, it's transformed into a vibrant, festive extravaganza. It's like a big annual get-together for communities around the world. We've woven in elements of creativity, imagination, prop making, and scary stories. And it's a good dose of spooky fun. It's a testament to how cultures evolve and adapt their traditions over time. So when we celebrate Halloween nowadays, we're carrying on this rich tapestry of our history while adding in our own colourful threads to the mix. It's amazing how different cultures worldwide celebrate autumn festivals. While they might go by different names, the spirit remains the same, and that's a pun that I added in deliberately. Take Mexico's Day of the Dead, for instance, a vibrant celebration honouring departed loved ones. Then there's China's Mid-Autumn Festival, a time for family reunions and enjoying mooncakes. These festivals share the same heartwarming theme of appreciating the harvest season and cherishing our connections with family and friends, both living and dead. Now, the influence of Halloween in popular culture is a story in itself. It's seeped into movies, literature, and all sorts of creative expression. Classic films like Hocus Pocus and Nightmare Before Christmas have become beloved staples of the season. Authors like Edgar Allan Poe and Ray Bradbury wove their tales that send shivers down our spines and are often told around Halloween. It's as if Halloween has become a muse for storytellers, giving us a treasure trove of spooky tales to enjoy. I certainly enjoy it on this channel. Here's a quirky fun fact. Did you know that the world's largest pumpkin weighed over 2,600 pounds? That's like having a small car made entirely out of pumpkin. And then there are the pumpkin festivals, like the one in Circleville, Ohio, where they host a giant pumpkin weigh-off. It's a sight to behold, with pumpkins that could give Cinderella's carriage a run for their money. Lastly, let's not forget the heart of it all, the fun and creativity of Halloween. It's a time when imaginations run wild, and we get to become whatever fantastical creature we dream up. From witches to superheroes, the possibilities are endless. And the joy of decorating homes with spooky adornments and the laughter at Halloween parties, it's all about just letting our inner child revel in the magic of the season. So, whether you're carving pumpkins, watching spooky movies, or just enjoying the crisp autumn air, remember that Halloween is a time for laughter, creativity, and making cherished memories. It's a true celebration of the playful spirit that lives within us all. So,
Play magical.